welcome to a new episode of Let's Talk About. Today I'm with my mommy.
Yay! Hi, everybody.
It might echo because we're using my MacBook for this episode and microphones and stuff like that, so sorry for the echo if it is. Sorry. So, introduce yourself, my guest.
Well, I am Katrina's mom. Have been. Oh. Can't take that out.
Nope, we're recording it live.
Oh. All right. Sorry.
God.
Is the mic on right now?
Yes.
I'm such a boomer.
She just doxed me. Anyway, start over.
I am Snix's mom. And I don't know. I've been a John Lennon fan since I was probably at least, well, Beatles fan since about 9 or 10. Then it segued to being a John Lennon fan.
We have a puppy interrupting too.
Anyway.
Yeah. The famous Tyrion is interrupting, as always. That's what he does. Anyway, this isn't about him, even though he wished it was. So yeah, I know nothing about John Lennon. Fun fact. Except
You probably know something.
just from you.
Maybe some misconceptions and then some truths, hard truths.
Yeah. Sorry. This puppy is distracting me. So I was thinking we go through the basics about Jonathan here. Is his name Jonathan? I don't know. Or is it actually just John? It's just John. It's just John. It's not even Jonathan.
No, it's John Winston Lennon.
Yeah.
Was his birthday. And then he changed it, legally changed it, to take on Yoko's last name when it became John Ono.
John Winston Ono Lennon.
Yeah.
Born John Winston Lennon on October 9th, which is today.
1940. Am I correct?
Yes. Well, which is today, which that's why we purposely are recording this during my break, because it makes sense to do his birthday, even though this will be uploaded 2 days later. So, and then he died, of course, December 8th, 1980. Do you want to talk about his death now or later?
Whatever you want to do.
Well, I'll say, do you want to tell her? God. Do you want to tell everyone how you found out he died?
Well, I happened to be in England at the time. I was 18 years old. That was so long ago.
Obviously, it's 1980.
And that's awesome. And
I wasn't even a
I was
thing.
going to school there at the time through a certain university in Indiana, and then they had an overseas program, and I was there, and it was holiday. So all of us that were staying for the next semester stayed in. They kind of crammed us out of the manor house into this other building together. Anyway, so there's a couple bunk beds in that particular room, and I remember I had the top bunk bed, and it must have been really late or something, because I think he was shot around 11 p.m. on that night, New York City time, if I remember correctly. And I think it was the next morning I was just kind of laying there dozing, and somebody came in. Did you hear that? Was talking to the roommate about John Lennon died. Oh, I bet he died of drugs, is what the other person said. And I remember thinking, no, he didn't die of drugs. And I was so obsessed as a teenager with him and we were on holidays, so it was no big deal. I just packed up my stuff and got on a train, because that's what you could do there. Plus, I was 18, soon to be 19, so I just did what I wanted. And I don't know why I went to London instead of going to Liverpool, but I went to London because I guess I would have been embarrassed how I responded to it in front of all these other people. Because of them, it's like hearing about any other celebrity died, and you're like, oh, well, that sucks, but you kind of move on with your day. You know?
Yeah.
What I'm saying. And that's how I found out.
Her very young heart breaking.
It was. I was really confused by how much I grieved over it. Because being 18, it was like, why? I mean, I didn't personally know him. He wasn't like my brother or my dad or uncle or somebody. And I never really understood that.
Well, I've had celebrities like that. Also, I'm looking to the side because she's sitting right here. So I'm not just looking at the otter. I'm looking at her. So for those who are watching the video, because on Spotify, you can watch the video podcast or just listen to the podcast. So if someone's watching it instead of listening to it, you know what I mean? They're like, or YouTube, be like. So that's why I want to explain that. Obviously, I knew nothing because I wasn't a thing to be had yet. I was born like a decade later. So, anyway, let's go on to the early years. Okay, I want to test your John Lennon knowledge.
Oh gosh, it's probably pretty weak now, but go ahead.
What was his childhood home's address?
I don't recall things as well anymore. I know. I keep getting Paul's in my head. I know what it is. Guys, I don't recall information as well as I used to. I did go up to his childhood home when I was in Liverpool. Somebody lived there at the time. Now it's like a blue plaque, historic.
Yeah, this picture shows the blue plaque on it.
Yeah. So somebody they have whatever they call people like that in England that kind of keep an eye on the house and people come over. And for some reason, I was young and stupid enough just to walk into Abbey Road Studios, but I didn't feel like I could go up to that house and knock on the door. I felt like I would have been rude or something. Now I wish I was rude. But
you were a kid.
Let me, Menlove.
Yep,
Menlove.
But
yeah.
do you know the number and the, what's it called when a street name has the N?
I'm not going to Lane. No, I don't know. I don't remember.
It's 251 Menlove Avenue. And this picture right here, I would show you, but I don't want to accidentally show you on camera.
Yeah, I know.
It shows the blue plaque like on.
Yeah, because I believe it's actually two houses because it's how they build stuff there. So it's the one on the left. Well, obviously you've got the blue plaque on it.
Question. I've never watched Yesterday. You have. Was the house when he goes visit... Oh, spoiler, I guess. Is the house he goes visit...
No, I wouldn't be talking about it. You are going to spoil it.
I just want to know if the house looked kind of similar to that.
No, I don't remember anything looking similar to what you're talking about.
Okay.
So I don't know.
That's what it kind of looks like on the outside when I think of the one scene I've seen in that movie.
No,
but
anyway,
John Winston Lennon. Fun fact, one of our dogs is named after John Lennon.
His name's,
yeah. He was born October 9th, 1940, which we talked about, at Liverpool Maternity Hospital. Imagine someone knowing what hospital you were born at.
Imagine there's no heaven.
No, seriously though, like, imagine you just become this big celebrity and everyone's like, oh yeah, they were born at such and such hospital. They were born at Graceland Memorial. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Graceland Memorial, Grey's Anatomy.
Say elsewhere.
Say elsewhere. Oh my god, we should do a Say Elsewhere at ER. We should do a medical show episode together.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's a future topic we could talk about, because you've seen a bunch of medical shows, so you know.
Yeah, it's been a while, though.
Oh, St. Elsewhere. That's a good one. It's on Hulu if anyone's interested. If you like the old school medical shows. Like, I want to say it's the very first medical show, right?
What?
It wouldn't be the very first medical show.
What?
Say Elsewhere.
No.
Yeah, I know. Well, don't talk to me like I'm an idiot. I'm confirming.
That's being a boomer looking at you like, what? These youngins nowadays.
Whatever.
Oh, yeah, you have a bunch of other ones. But anyway, that has nothing to do with John Lennon.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole point of the podcast. We usually get off topic. And he's the only child of, who are his parents' names? I'm going to question you, actually.
I'm not going to recall things. Well, his mom was Julia.
Yep.
And Stanley was her maiden name.
Yes.
And I'm going blank on his dad's name. I can picture him and everything. His dad was a merchant marine.
Merchant seaman of Irish descent who was away at the time of his son's birth.
Yeah, I think he was away a lot of times. I don't think he was particularly a very attentive dad.
Alfred Lennon.
That's it. Yeah. And anyway, so at some point, they were no longer together. But anyway, I can get to that part. You go on.
His parents named him after his paternal grandfather, John Jack Lennon, and Prime Minister Winston Churchill.
Wow, when we named our dog, I was thinking, well, I want people not to think it was Churchill, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want him to think that because I don't care about that, but I inadvertently also named him.
You didn't know that that's what Winston came from?
I probably did at some point. No wonder. Well, he still kept it. He just had it on him.
I'm trying not to read the whole freaking Wikipedia page because we'll be here forever.
I don't know, just skip to when he did endure a tragedy with his mother.
Well,
So I think that shaped him. And I think there's a couple things. Now, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, so I'm just, I don't know, talking like a fan does or whatever. But I think he was shaped by the loss of his mother, and also before that, the story goes, and I think he said the story too, where I think they were by the sea or something. I can't remember why he was at the beach or something. And I think he was with his dad and his mom was there, and they told him he had to choose who he wanted to live with. And he chose his mom, but I suspect maybe he carried some guilt. I mean, he was only like 5 years old or something like that.
yeah. Also, I noticed my battery on my computer is going down even though it's plugged in for power.
I don't know, what kind of... Oh, you have a... Yeah, so we have to make this super quick. Is that what you're telling me?
No, at least we got... It just says battery's not charging, and it's at 80%.
How is your computer?
Got this like this past summer. I think it's either the battery or the charger.
Well, I think it's probably just your cord. You need a cord. What's the cord like? Just like any? Is it specifically for that?
It's because this is how you charge it. It's this like right here.
No, I just wonder if it's only... You can't use anything else. It has to be.
It has to be this. That's what I'm saying. This end right here.
It's probably been pulled or something like that.
Anyway, also apparently after his aunt complained to Liverpool Social Services twice, Julia gave her custody of Lennon.
Yeah. So that's why he ended up living with Aunt Mimi and Uncle George, I think it was. Mimi's husband.
In July 1946, Lennon's father visited her and took his son to Blackpool, secretly intending to immigrate to New Zealand with him.
What would have happened? Would the Beatles have even existed if he succeeded in taking John to New Zealand?
Would there be Kiwi Beatles?
I don't know. I don't think it would have happened at all unless everybody else happened to go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I would say there could be a New Zealand version of the Beatles, and it's with John Lennon.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think we would even be sitting here talking about it.
No, it'd be like, who's that bloke?
Scott Bakula would have had to go back in time. Of course, it would have been in his timeline. No, it could have been in his timeline.
My glasses did not stay clean. Anyway, let's see what else we can skip through. This is what you were talking about. On July 15th, 1958, at the age of 44, Julia Lennon was struck and killed by a car while she was walking home after visiting the Smiths' house. His mother's death traumatized the teenage Lennon, who for the next 2 years drank heavily and frequently got into fights, consumed by a blind rage. Julia's memory would later serve as a major creative inspiration for Lennon, inspiring songs such as the 1968 Beatles song Julia.
Well, I want to say something about the whole tragedy.
What?
My understanding, if I remember correctly, John had gone to his mom's house to visit. And so I don't know if there's some miscommunication or whatever. And then his mom went to John's house at Mimi's house and was told that he wasn't there. And then she turned around, and then I heard it was an off-duty policeman, or heard it was an off-duty something else. Somebody had been drinking and hit her. In fact, one of John's good friends saw it happen. I do believe it. And I have a disclaimer. I may not remember facts or anything. But I just always think that whether it was, I mean, he shouldn't feel guilty, he had nothing to do with it, but I would think that would be a common response to think, what if I had been home? My mom had lived, my mom had, survivor's guilt kind of thing.
Yes.
So I think he probably was damaged by that, understandably so. In fact, one reason him and Paul, they had at least one thing they related to, because Paul lost his mother as a teenager too. So, they gave them more like a sort of a brotherhood,
Yeah. I had another one, because we're still in the childhood portion of the Wikipedia page, but this is at the end of the childhood,
Okay.
Lennon failed his O-level examinations and was accepted to the Liverpool College of Art after his aunt and headmaster intervened. At the college, he began to wear teddy boy clothes and was threatened with expulsion for his behavior. In the description of Cynthia Powell, Lennon's fellow student and subsequently, his wife, he was thrown out of college before his final year.
Yeah, I don't remember all those details, but yeah. And
I also don't know how to read.
You do just fine. That is where he met Cynthia, I do believe.
Well, that's what they made it sound like.
Yeah.
The Quarrymen to the Beatles, 1956 to 1970. That's the next section.
Well, that's a lot of years.
I know. So what should we? So should we skip the Quarrymen? Do you want to?
Yeah, I think you can just wrap it up and say that obviously that's where he got to start. At some point, you guys can look it up if you care to, about how he met Paul and how George got into the group. And at first they had Pete Best, and eventually Pete Best was out of there. And Ringo, who was already being Ringo, and he was with Rory Storm and the Hurricanes playing drums. And I forgot the whole details of that, how he eventually went to them, because I think that's the point when they could start recording, and they needed a drummer that matched them better or something. I don't know. And I think you can probably just skip ahead to...
I would say it's a lot in here, especially about the Beatles, about how they achieved mainstream success in the UK early in 1963. Lennon was on tour when his first son Julian was born in April. So guessing he wasn't there for that. That birth, like his father was for his birth. Is that what that makes it sound like? Or?
Yeah. I don't know. I would assume it probably been pretty common then. I don't think men would have went into the when women were actually giving birth.
Well, they usually would show up after the whole birth.
Yeah, I think they had it rough as they carry cigars in their pocket in their sleep.
She's just trying to move this to another topic now.
Well, also in the 60s, I forgot when, you have to look ahead there, where Lennon had done an article. I forgot the name of the magazine stuff. It was just a full-length article, and some stuff was taken out of context. The whole Beatles are bigger than Jesus.
Yeah, we're about to get to that.
Yeah, once you get to that, that sounds more interesting to me anyway.
In March 1966, during an interview with Evening Standard reporter Maureen Cleave, Lennon remarked, "Christianity will go. It will vanish and shrink. We're more popular than Jesus now. I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity." The comment went virtually unnoticed in England, but caused great offense in the U.S. when quoted by a magazine there 5 months later. I can't say that, but I don't know how to pronounce that word. The
No, I can't say
Furore
the chaos
that followed, which included the burning of Beatles records, Ku Klux Klan activity, and threats against Lennon, contributed to the band's decision to stop touring.
Yes.
See, I don't know words.
So, yes, cancel culture was not born in this decade. So what happened was, it's on film. Him and the other ones are sitting there and being. You got to realize they were so super popular, and I think that was the first wall they really hit of potentially damaging their popularity. But the Bible Belt of America just went crazy, and later people made jokes about, hey, they destroyed all those records. The ones we got now are worth more. you know, but anyway, and they misunderstood. I personally think the comment means that people are putting a lot of power into pop culture. People are putting a lot more power on what is on with this world, what we're doing, and all that. And I think he was actually saying, I think he was actually observing something that was actually very truthful. And then, of course, some people in America had to go crazy, and because obviously,
well, he was also misquoted in America.
Oh, what they put it in as.
Like literally, like if I remember reading that correctly, like the magazine, like just basically didn't take the whole thing he actually said, which is why England was like, yeah, whatever, right? Yeah. They literally took all that out and just said that we're big, more popular than Jesus.
They wouldn't do that in America.
Yeah, that's literally what. That's literally all they said. He said they didn't include anything. That's what I remember reading.
I can't remember who spoofed that. I can't remember where it was. They were saying that no, he was actually talking about they were literally taller or bigger than Jesus. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So he had that, but I guess it was early attempt at cancellation. You know, the whole cancel culture thing. I don't get me started. But it's like later, what year would it have been? People trying to cancel
2020 or something.
Off of a song that was on sometime in New York City.
I would say the name. Don't say it.
No, I'm not going to.
Because it's Twitch too. Not.
Okay.
That's so.
Which I thought was ludicrous. I heard that. Like, people are trying to cancel John Lennon. I'm like, I don't think he cares. I mean, the man is dead. It just made cancel culture look really dumb, which I think. I know this sounds very boomer-like, but the whole cancel culture thing became like so ludicrous, in my opinion.
Now Ludacris is going to show up now because he said Ludacris.
Like in the commercial.
Yeah. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
But anyway.
So, God, there's a lot to read. I have ADHD. Reading a lot of things is hard work. But eventually they break up. You know, like every good relationship.
We'll go back to the Beatles, you mean?
Yeah, but obviously he meets Yoko. The joke is that she broke the Beatles. Yeah.
Well, I would say that was a joke.
At it again. Karen just loves to be on this podcast. He really does.
I don't think so. I'm sure he's like protecting us from who knows what.
Michael Myers again. So we have this neighbor called Michael Myers. No, I'm joking.
I don't know. I still think he's kind of chill. You know what irritates me about Michael is, you know, you be talking to him, turn around, turn back, and he's gone.
And then you got Jason, who just wants to kill you.
Oh, he's so, like, speaking of cancel culture.
No, you want to cancel Freddie.
Oh, no, yeah, I don't even want to talk about him.
Yeah. Anyway. Lennon left the Beatles on September 20th, 1969, but agreed not to inform the media while the group renegotiate their recording contract. He was outraged that McCartney publicized his own departure on releasing his debut solo album in April 1970. Lennon's reaction was, "Jesus Christ, he gets all the credit for it." He later wrote, "I started the band, I disbanded it, it's as simple as that." And in December 1970 interview with Jan Weiner of Rolling Stone magazine, he revealed his bitterness towards McCartney, saying, "I was a fool not to do what Paul did, which was use it to sell a record." Lennon also spoke of the hostility he perceived the other members had towards Ono, and of how he, Harrison and Starr, got fed up with being sidemen for Paul after Brian Epstein died we collapsed. Paul took over and supposedly led us, but what is leading us when we went round in circles?
Yeah, that pretty much sounds like the difference between their personalities. There's a lot of things that I always liked about John Lennon that he didn't always filter himself very well. Not that he didn't have private things he kept to himself, I'm sure he did. But he would just say it like, maybe not as extreme as Kanye, but he would just say whatever he thought, you know, and which I liked about him. You know, as a teenager, I just found him more relatable than Paul. I thought Paul was obviously extremely nice looking and great voice, though I thought he dressed kind of dorky. I remember thinking that as a teenager. I mean, sweater vest.
Sweater vest, sorry.
That's what he would wear. It's like.
So let's go ahead on to the topic everyone wants to talk about. I'm joking, please don't take me seriously. The murder of John Lennon.
Yeah, what do you want to say about it?
Where were you at 5 p.m. on December 8th, 1980?
Is that what they had the time of him being shot?
At approximately, he autographed a copy of Double Fantasy for Mark David Chapman before leaving the Dakota.
Right.
After the session, they returned in a limousine around 10:50 p.m. They left the field, walked through the archway of the building. Chapman then shot Lennon twice in the back and twice in the shoulder at close range. Lennon was rushed in a police cruiser to the emergency room of Roosevelt Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival at 11:15 p.m.
Yeah, I knew it was around 11 o'clock
So,
or something like that.
12, 1, 2, 3, 4. It would have been 4 in the morning, your time in London.
Right, sleeping. Woke up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, because it's 5 hours. Ono issued a statement the next day saying there is no funeral for John, ending it with the words, "John loved to pray for the human race. Please do the same for him." At first I thought I said, "Please do not do the same." I was like, what? No, I just can't read. He was cremated at Ferncliff Cemetery in Hartsdale, New York. Ono scattered his ashes in New York Central Park, where the Strawberry Fields Memorial was later created. Chapman avoided going to trial when he ignored his lawyer's advice and pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 20 years to life. Now, do you want to talk about the fact that he keeps trying to get parole?
Well, I don't know if he's trying to get parole. I'm sure legally he's allowed to, whatever the sentence is, he's allowed to do that. And I've only done it once, but you can go on and say why you don't think somebody should get parole. And I did it once before, and I'm sure a lot of people have. I honestly, I don't know, enough time has gone by, so I don't know if he would meet a similar fate if he got released. You know, I think he's still like in a mental institution kind of prison. I'm not sure. I know he couldn't go in general population because he probably wouldn't have survived. You know. But, yeah, he was... I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It's. I can't imagine for anybody whether your dad was famous or not, and you expect your dad to come home, and maybe you're waiting up for him to get home, and he never comes up the stairs or elevator or whatever to see you, because that's what happened to Sean. And then I believe Julian had to travel by plane. I think I have that on film. It's kind of sad because you see it with Ringo too coming in, and there's crowds pushing on him. So that's awful when you think about it, because you're going through, you're stunned. You know, you lost somebody that you're, you know, your friend, your dad, somebody you're close to. You see this person differently from the rest of us, like us, right? And it's hard to even get in there. Ringo had I don't think he thought it was very tasteful for people, hundreds of people being outside singing, give peace a chance of doing all this stuff while people are up in their apartment grieving and starting to mourn and all that stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, that when you said that, the crowds and everything reminds me of the original Stars Born from 1937. After one of the main characters has died, it's an old movie. Sorry if that's a spoiler for an old movie or not. You see the funeral, and the main chick, Janet Gaynor. She has the little, veil on, the funeral veil and everything. And everyone's, trying to take pictures with her, because she's a famous actress, right? The character. They're trying to take pictures with her, saying, you could do better than him, baby, all this stuff. And asking for autographs and stuff while she's trying to go to the limo after the funeral.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, that's probably exactly how they felt. It's like...
Yeah, because I think fame just, makes us all stupid, I think. Whether I don't always like to be famous, but think about how you think about a famous person. You're getting all like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like me beating Anson Mount.
Oh, she met Anson Mount last month, guys. She's like...
Yes. All right, so it's like, I don't know, I just can't imagine how awful that would be. And I met Sean Lennon. I never met Julian. And I didn't mention his dad or his mom to him. I just talked about whatever that show was or something. And because I just kept thinking, okay, and the band was really good. I mean, he's a really good musician and all that. And, but somebody went to that show and wore the New York City shirt, the famous picture of Lennon wearing the New York City shirt, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why would you... I just don't get that.
Yeah.
He does... I'm assuming he's probably used to... I'm assuming he doesn't want to be there, and people are using him to channel his dad.
Oh, tell them about what someone said to you at a Paul McCartney concert.
No, we're not going to do that. I think the person was mentally
ill,
so I'm not going to.
It just reminded me when you said that, you said this person said at the concert.
I can't remember the whole conversation. It was because when a Beatle fan talks to the Beatle fan, you just talk about Beatles, and I can't remember. It has something to do with I said something about Lennon being gone. Too bad he's not here. Oh no, he's here. He's right there. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well,
I think I look back and I'm thinking, yeah, I think maybe she might have just been, had a mental illness.
Unless it made her feel comfortable saying that.
No, I think she was pretty convinced he was standing there. So I guess I stood next to John Lennon. Didn't even know it.
Because of all the people to visit.
Yeah, and I can also remember going to another McCartney concert in Louisville, for those outside of the area. Here we say Louisville. And
we hate it when other people say Louisville, though. I've noticed that. A lot of people from Kentucky prefer Louisville. Yeah.
And I remember going there with my son. I won't say his name.
No.
Tell her my lesson. But anyway.
She already doxed me. Let's not dox another child.
Anywho. And because we got there early enough to see if Paul would go into the facility. And I was like, this is what you do. You go to the facility and you look for the Beatle people. And sure enough, you got the people that were probably about more get closer to McCartney's age. And wearing Beatle vests and signs, you could picture them as teenagers wearing the same outfit. And anyway, now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I had to do a secret message with her. I was trying to interrupt. So you saw Paul McCartney how many times? Was it 3?
Well, I saw him in concert. Linda was still alive, and that was at the Kingdom, I think 90 or 91. And it's like that was the old days of where if you want to get a ticket, there was no internet. And I can remember getting on the Ticketmaster on the phone and redialing, and that's how you did it.
And they still have that option too.
The ticket was, oh my gosh, it was $30 or something.
Oh my God! I remember Hillary Duff came to Louisville when I was like 9 years old, and I wanted to go to the concert so bad. And you guys were looking at it for me, and it was $90.
What year was that?
2005.
Well, that probably was really expensive for them.
Yeah, for like a good seat too. Like,
yeah, I remember going to that McCartney concert at the Kingdom, and he had big screens on either side. And whenever the concert was coming out, I don't remember what was playing, but it was showing, current events and stuff, and it showed the guy that steps in front of the tank.
yeah.
And that part, and people started whooping because people look at that as a heroic gesture. And then I remember when Paul came out, everybody stood up, and it was like, great, I just spent all this money just to listen to him and watch it on the screen.
Well, you should know now for every concert, there's going to be people that stand up.
Well, yeah, because I had floor seats, so of course you're not going to see anything, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why I learned my lesson about floor seats.
That's why
I saw them 2 other times.
I would say because nosebleeds are good in that way. Not only can you see the whole stage, you see their creativity in the stage, like Billie Eilish. Those were pretty good nosebleeds, the Billie Eilish concert.
Well, yeah, but she still looked pretty much like an ant on stage.
Yeah, but you got to see the whole...
Right, but the only purpose of it, to me, is it's about the person on the stage, not their... what do you call the other stuff going on around them? The multimedia stuff. It's not about the multimedia stuff. I could just go home and watch this be streamed or something. So the whole point is if you're a huge Billie Eilish fan or Paul McCartney, whatever, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing this person in flesh. And
you're in the same building as them. That's what it is. Like, I think that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the same building as this person.
Yeah, and I never got to see Lennon anything. I, in a million years, would have charged. If he was still alive and had a concert, I'd be finding a way to charge it, and I could just be close enough to see him, and then I'd be good. Like now, I'm kind of like, I just don't see the point. Now, Roger Waters, The Wall, what year was that?
You would have to ask your other child that I won't dox on stream.
You should have one of your next podcasts about how to and not dox people.
How to not dox your own children on their podcast.
Anyway, God. So anyway, that Roger Waters, because it's really had a lot of multimedia, really cool. That was one of the best concerts. To me, I told people it was an experience more than just a concert that I've ever seen.
And they're building the wall too, right?
Yes, it was one of the best things I ever saw. Because I already know the album. If you know The Wall really well, people around you, you could tell it's something that was important to them. Everybody knows all the words to everything. It was great. It was.
I would say I've only been to a few concerts. Last one was Billie Eilish, and of course it was snowing randomly. Remember, like we went, and it wasn't supposed to snow until like the next day, and it started snowing while we were outside.
Were we waiting in line for
oh
my God.
And the VIP, you got the VIP line that gets to go in first. They're under the building, like ledge, whatever. They were already in their concert clothes, like in their short shorts and stuff. So you know they had to be freezing.
Good. They got the VIP stuff.
And then, but I'll say I've been to Taylor Swift twice, and I think the Reputation tour is probably my favorite. Because it was outside, it was June, so it was summertime. It was at the Papa John's football stadium, and it got to be outside. It felt good, and I don't know. I think that's my favorite concert so far, is the Reputation tour.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should get back to John Lennon.
John Lennon made pathways to these artists that we're talking about.
Sure. He did do some other appearances. I'm trying to remember. Oh, there's something I want to bring up. I don't remember the details. But Lennon used to, when the Beatles, the Mop Tops, were on stage, he would do this little gesturing thing, like being funny, and it looked like he was making fun of people with, physical disabilities or
like CP
or mental disabilities. That was the thing, because you're talking early 60s. Not that it makes it right, but people wouldn't probably thought anything about it or misunderstood it or whatever. And then, because people there's a lot of things people hate John Lennon for him as a person, and not that I'm okaying that, but then later in the early 70s, I think it was the 1-to-1 or 1 on, I should look that up, because they just released a documentary on it, and let me see here, because it went to 1-to-1 concert, and there's a documentary, I believe, out now. And it's 2 concerts that were given on August 30th, 1972. Let me see if I can get to this. And it was a benefit concert for the Willowbrook Institution. Now this is old-timey language. This is what it literally was called. Willowbrook Institution for Retarded Children in New York. And if you look up Willowbrook, I believe Gerardo Rivera did a story on it, journalistic story. One of the moments where he was actual journalist. Sorry.
Just trying to change topics here.
Anyway, and covered that. It was horrendous. Debbie, you look it up. So they put on this concert 2 days to benefit and help. So I think Lennon was a very complicated person. You know, he probably would have said he was a very complicated person. He understood, too, that he was violent. What was it I looked up earlier? Because a lot of people, it's never right to hit people and just do stuff. And he did do things like that. And let me see if I have it on here. I used to be cruel to my woman and physically any woman. I was a hitter. I couldn't express myself and I hit. I fought men and I hit women. And I think that was, I forgot which interview that was with, where he was saying that stuff. And some people would argue, say, oh, he was like a sociopath. No, I don't think so, because there are stories people tell, and you can tell he had some deep remorse. He did like really awful things. He did things to Yoko too, and I don't know if he ever hit her, but he
Did Yoko ever came out with that?
No. She might have talked about this particular thing, or somebody else did. They were at a listening party back in the days where people would be in someone's living room and listening to a record. And I forgot whose record it was. I don't know if it was a Bowie record or what it was. And there was other people there. And Lennon actually went with this girl into the next room to get to know each other really well. And they were...
You could say they had sex, you just can't go over TOS, like, detail.
Well, I think the way I did it was just fine.
I'm just trying not to get banned off Twitch.
I know, that's why I did that. They were quite loud about it. And whoever was telling the story, Yoko was just... They would try to turn the music up and stuff, because Yoko's sitting there, she's horrified, she's embarrassed. And then, I think it was either then, after that, or maybe a couple of days, it was the photographer, Bob. I always forget Bob's name. He photographed the famous New York City shirt, pictures, and all that stuff. And Lennon was like visibly very upset and had remorse over it, over his behavior. Not that that makes him, he shouldn't have done that in the first place. So I just wonder what was up with him or whatever. But anyway.
My drink is sweating everywhere. I need to grab a coaster or something. But I think that's all we're going to talk about today, don't you think? You think? Or anything last minute?
Do you have any last questions to ask me before I go on?
Where were you on December 8th? Where were you on December 8th at 10:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time?
At 5 p.m.?
10:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I was asleep. We already talked about that.
I just want to make sure you're innocent in this.
Oh, that's Stephen King. You never heard that whole story? Supposedly Stephen King had to do with the...
No. Oh, I want to talk about the Simpsons episode. I forgot what episode it is, what's happening in the episode, whatever. But Homer saves John Lennon in this episode. And like a little bit. Like it's not the whole episode, it's like literally a little bit. He blocked the shot that was coming towards him. He did something that blocked it, and he saved John Lennon's life that way.
So he was trying to... When he was there live.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't remember... Quantum leap. I don't think they ever directly. They talked about quantum leap, but I don't think they ever directly dealt with that for some reason. Wow, I have to look that up.
I'm gonna have to look up the steps. I don't think I'm making it up, but
I'm sure Family Guy did something. They did something about when George Harrison had that guy break in and beat the crap out of him.
oh, they had. I forgot they also had it to where the barbershop boys, wherever, were making an album, and Yoko Ono was interrupting the album because the Simpsons. So she was like breaking them up, basically.
Well, that whole Yoko Ono broke up things, because I became a Beatles fan in the 70s. They're already broken up.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I didn't understand why everybody made such a big deal about it. I didn't get it. And she didn't break them up. It's typical, you know. You gotta
blame the woman.
Yeah, you gotta blame the woman. And then you watch that Get Back documentary, the Lord of the Rings guy that did, I forgot that director's name. Anyway, and I'm watching it and I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, sure, there's stuff that probably wasn't filmed, but I'm like going, why is she disruptive? She's sitting there like knitting or doing stuff. I'm like, I didn't get it. It's just, it's ridiculous.
Anyway, so that's the end of this episode. Thanks for watching or listening, whatever you do. Thanks for supporting. I am still trying to figure out guests in the future. So please leave a comment. Let me know who you want to see and what topic you want to hear and all that stuff. I'm interested in what you want to see. So thank you. Say bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.